I'm here with Rohit Chopra, former head of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, who's here to deliver some important news.
So, Sander, the government is barreling toward a shutdown that will turn off critical functions of the government just as consumers are facing tougher economic times, rising bills, and so much other pain.
Yeah, as someone, I'm seeing those direct hits to my electricity bill. I'm seeing grocery prices have not gone down like they said they were supposed to. And I feel like this is not the time for a government shutdown. It seems like Republicans and Trump are trying to blame the Democrats for this shutdown, even though they control all three branches of government.
That's right. We've heard about all the blame game, but here's really what's going on. A few months ago, we saw in this Republican budget bill critical services turned off and huge cost increases for so many people. And you mentioned, Sander, electricity bills. We are seeing across the country tens of billions of dollars in increases on people's bills. Some people are seeing their bills double, and it is adding to their own economic pain, causing them to rack up more credit card debt and struggle to stay afloat.
Yeah, no, we're seeing it. A lot of people are I feel like a lot of people are feeling it, yet people are happy with what the government is doing. They're supporting ICE raids. They're supporting all these other actions of the government and feeling these pains, yet not like speaking up and joining this kind of movement to be like, hey, what's happening right now is affecting all of us. Let's stop pointing at each other and let's start pointing up,
Yeah,
right?
and so we got to hold people accountable when they are not paying attention to the issues that are actually faced in their daily lives. You mentioned it. The grocery prices, they're raising at a faster clip than they have in several years. Not only are people's monthly bills going up on things like electricity, student loan bills, we're seeing huge spikes in delinquency and defaults. Auto loan repossessions are going up and up. And of course, the cost of rent and housing has just not gone down. All of this is putting people on a treadmill of debt. And we cannot have politicians yell and scream about things that aren't addressing people's real issues right now. And that's why I think it's important for people to really speak up about how they are going to hold local, state, and federal politicians accountable.
Yeah, and how will if the government shuts down, or when the government shuts down, as it looks like it's going to, and when this video is released, it might be shut down by that time. Um, how is that going to affect everyday Americans?
Well, here's what I'm most worried about. I've spent a lot of my work tackling the scourge of medical debt and medical bills that people have been facing. And if there is not some sort of fix, we are going to see health insurance skyrocket. That means that a lot of younger people will just go uninsured. And for people whose family has a chronic illness, they will be dealing with dramatically higher debt. And what is this going to do? This is just going to, again, make it more affordable, more expensive to afford the everyday items. So I really don't think that it is worthwhile to have a country that will not actually address the ability for people to just go to the doctor or the emergency room. A lot of us deal with chronic illness in our family, and that should not make people go bankrupt. But that is actually what we are seeing, and it could be made much worse if the government shutdown happens and if Congress doesn't fix this.
Well, I think you'll be well, you probably won't be surprised to hear this, but I identify as cisgender, heterosexual, white man. Like all the things that people say, oh, that's the most privileged. I'm the people who voted for Trump, right? But I didn't, and I fight back against the system and I try to use my privilege to support other communities. But I myself am actually getting kicked off my insurance this year. I myself called new insurance companies saying, hey, what are the quotes looking like? And they're like, you can't get on until November and it's probably going to be ridiculously higher. And I was already paying $400 something a month for insurance, which already went up from $300 before. And so I'm like, wow, that's expensive. And yeah, am I going to be able to afford it? Yes, but I know a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford that, like you're saying. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this government shutdown, what Democrats are fighting for is for some ACA subsidies that is going to ensure that, the prices don't skyrocket ridiculously for health insurance. Yet, why are we moving towards a government shutdown that isn't trying to go against that and trying to be like, wait, yeah, the people do need this? And why are people not infuriated that the government is not, where all three branches of government are supported, aren't being like, yeah, let's not cut this. Let's help everyday Americans.
Well, let's be clear. The answer is pretty simple. It's that those corporations and well-connected individuals at the top are calling the shots about what is being spent on. Sander, if you look at the math, the big tax giveaway that was given to really millionaires and billionaires, an average of $80,000 to each of those families, that's financed largely through stripping away healthcare from four other families. And it doesn't just impact people who get a subsidy through the Affordable Care Act, it is going to affect the entire health insurance system. People who get their insurance through work, they'll see their premiums go up. And yeah, Sander, you're probably going to have to stretch to pay for this, but a lot of people just will not be able to afford it at all. And that means that one accident, one chronic diagnosis could wipe them out. We have seen in our country how people think that those who file for bankruptcy, they were buying too much. The data shows something different. Usually it's when people lose their job or get a serious health illness. And I think it is pretty messed up that people have to lose everything just because of one illness. And this is all preventable and all a result of some of what is in that bill.
Yeah, no, that bill is absolutely terrible. And I think one thing that I always hear is this idea that when people feel helpless, like the government is now making people feel, when then the person at the top is saying, I will help you, then they listen, but then they don't, or they're not even educated enough or not actually learning that the person who's saying they're going to help you is actually the person that's stabbing you in the back. And that's what I
Well,
feel like is happening.
Well, people then, I think, always got to know, look at their own bank account and their own financial situation. We have seen how the healthcare system has been weaponized sometimes against people. When I was head of the CFPB, one thing we did is we took action to stop the scourge of medical bills that was parked on people's credit reports, sometimes to coerce them into paying a bill they already paid or didn't owe in the first place. No matter who you are and where you live, healthcare bills and insurance can feel like a doom loop. You are caught in a cyclone of paperwork between insurance companies and hospitals and providers, and we need a system that is not going to bankrupt people or make people avoid care when they are actually sick or need it. So I would encourage everyone to take a look at their own premiums, their own situation, and see who is taking action to fix it. Because what I have seen in this budget bill was a big giveaway to billionaires and a big loss for people just trying to work hard and live their life.
I 100% agree. And it's very, it just breaks my heart about for the families that are really going to be affected by this, including the people losing SNAP benefits, just so many different things besides just the electricity bill, the healthcare, and just everything else we're seeing in society from the big ugly bill. And now with this government shutdown looming, could you share more just based on your experience being part of a government agency and leading a government agency, like why does a government shutdown even happen?
Well, it's because Congress is supposed to fund the operations of the government. whether it's the military or national parks or just critical services to protect the public, that requires Congress and the president to agree. And it seems like every single past government spending bill is done on a bipartisan basis, but that just seems to be completely falling apart. And we actually need the president and Republicans who are in control of all three parts of the government. They really need to take this seriously, or else they will have to face people who are going to lose their health care and the economy will continue to get worse and worse. We know that government shutdowns do have an economic impact. We are already seeing unemployment, prices all going in the wrong direction. This is not the time to add more problems on top of the chaos created by tariffs and a tax bill that is not helping our economy at all.
It's crazy stuff, and I'm hoping that there can be some sort of resolution that works for everyone. Obviously, it's not going to work for everyone, but something where the president could maybe get off his high horse and actually be like, "Hey, I need to make sure to support." But from what I'm hearing, is that that doesn't seem like it's going to be the case because the president maybe wants a government shutdown because when a government shuts down, he actually has more powers to fire people, more powers to do certain things. Can you speak on any of that?
Well, at the agency I led, the CFPB, it had a whole force of people who were looking to crack down when banks and financial companies broke the law. That law breaking led to billions of dollars per year in refunds and other relief for consumers. Right now, we have seen the Trump administration essentially turn the whole agency off. They have not taken a single action to stop illegal foreclosures, to make sure people aren't charged illegal junk fees, to make sure their credit reports aren't polluted with errors. They have simply succumbed to the wishes of the biggest players on Wall Street and big tech. So now we're hearing threats that the government shutdown may lead to more reductions and terminations. And I simply don't understand why we want to defund the police that watch after big companies that cheat consumers or break the law. We're now seeing corporate pardons. Agencies are dropping. They don't even have the staff to continue to pursue investigations. This is a bonanza for bullies and lawbreakers, and it is something that we should stand up to and completely turn around if we are going to have law and order in our markets again.
So the government may or may not shut down, and you are saying we need to stand up, we need to say something. If you have a message to anyone listening to this right now about what they can do to, hold the government accountable and make sure that they don't continue to, you know, help out the billionaires to the expense of everyday Americans, what would it be?
Well, Sandra, you have been telling your audience a lot that they cannot just be silent. They cannot tune out the news and hope it gets better. They need to act. They need to push local, state, and federal leaders to get their act together. But I also think we need to do more to make sure that we're helping out people who are struggling with loans and bills and debt. There are people who are on a treadmill. They're worried about losing their jobs, and we need to make sure that they don't feel ashamed and that they can access the few resources that still exist for them. We have to help them report crimes to their state attorneys general. We need to make sure that they are filing lawsuits when they need to prevent an illegal foreclosure or eviction. So, Sandra, there's a lot to do, but the number one thing is to not be silent. Now is not the time to sulk. Now is not the time to give up. It is the time now to speak up and to act.
So everyone listening, we have to use our voice. We need to come together, not point fingers and divide and go against each other. Let's all come together and let's demand accountability for what's going on in society on both sides, not Republicans, not Democrats, everyone. Demand all of our constituents and lawmakers to come together to make sure that we are doing things that are helping everyday Americans. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. Is there any last words that you want to share? Or do you think we got it with that last hoorah?
No, we just got to make sure that people stay tuned and don't tune out. So thank you so much, Sander.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this conversation. I hope a lot of people who are listening got informed like I did.